Hello, here's my video on surface area and volume of spheres and hemispheres. Surface area and volume of spheres and hemispheres. First, let's talk about spheres. We have two formulas, the surface area formula, that is 4 pi r squared, and the volume formula, that's 4/3 times pi r cubed. So these are the formulas that we would use for spheres. All right, so let's find the surface area and volume of the sphere below. All right, so we have a diameter of 15.6, and we want to cut it in half to give us our radius, because that's the only measurement that we need. And so we need to get out the calculator and divide 15.6 by 2, and we get 7.8. So our radius is just 7.8. All right, so we'll plug that in our surface area formula. So 4 pi r squared is the formula we're going to use, and we get 4 pi 7.8 squared. And that's 4 pi times 60.84. And we'll multiply that by 4. We get 243.36 pi is our exact answer, and our approximate surface area times pi is 764.515, and we're doing inches squared. Now let's do the volume. Our volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. So we're going to take the 4/3 pi, and we're going to take our 7.8 and cube it, and that's 4/3 pi times 474.552. We're going to multiply that by 4 and divide by 3, and that's 632.736 pi. And when we multiply that by pi, we get the volume is 1987.740 inches cubed. Okay, let's do another example. Find the surface area and volume of the sphere below. So this one has a radius of 3, so our surface area is going to be 4 pi r squared, so 4 pi 3 squared, and that's 4 pi times 9, so 36 pi feet is the exact answer. And then when we multiply 36 times pi, we get 113.094 feet squared for our surface area. All right, now let's look at our volume. The volume formula, again, is 4/3 pi r cubed. All right, so we have 4/3 pi 3 cubed, and then so that's 4/3 pi times 27. We'll take 27 times 4 divided by 3, and that's 36 pi for our exact answer, and that's feet squared. And our approximate answer is 36 times pi, and that's 113.094 feet cubed for the volume. And so it turns out that the surface area and volume are the same for that sphere. Now let's look at the hemisphere. A hemisphere is half of a sphere. To find its surface area, you will need to look at the situation. There are two types of surface area. The lateral, which is just the bowl part of the surface area, so that's half the surface area. And then there's the total surface area, which is the bowl part, plus the area of one circle. All right, to find its volume, you're going to find half the volume of the sphere with the same radius. Okay, so let's do an example to look at our situation. Find the total surface area, the lateral surface area, and the volume of this hemisphere below. We're given the diameter of the circle, or of the top of the hemisphere, flat part, is 2 feet. So we know that half of that is 1 foot, so half of that is our radius, and that's 1 foot. Okay, so our lateral surface area is going to equal half of the surface area of a sphere of the same radius. Okay, so we'd have half of 4 pi r squared. So that's 2 pi 1 squared, or 2 pi feet squared. And so our approximate answer is 6.283 feet squared. Okay, so let's look at our total area. So we're going to take our lateral surface area of the hemisphere plus pi r squared, one circle, because we want to put the lid on the bowl. Okay, so we have our 2 pi plus pi 1 squared, which is 1 pi, and that is 3 pi feet squared. And that would be 3 times pi, which is about 9.425 feet squared. Okay, now we're going to do the volume. So we're going to take half of the volume of the sphere. So volume would be half of the volume of the sphere. So 1/2 times 4/3 pi r cubed. Our r is 1, so we have 4/6 pi times 1, or 2/3 pi. And our feet are cubed. So when we figure out what our approximate answer is, we get 2.094 feet cubed. All right, let's look at our next example. We're going to find the radius of a hemisphere that has a volume of 1,526.814 cubic centimeters. All right, so we have the volume, so we're going to use our volume formula, and that is half of the 4/3 pi r cubed. So we're going to fill in what we know, and so that's 1,526.814 equals, and this is equal to half of 4/3 is 2/3 pi r cubed. So we're going to divide both sides by pi first, because we just want to solve for the variable. And then we will not have a pi over here, and we get 486.014, and that's equal to 2/3 r cubed. And now we'll multiply both sides of our equation by 3/2 to get rid of the 3/2 on that side, and I have 324.0095, and that rounds up to 010. We'll just leave it like that for now, and that's going to equal 3 r cubed. So now we take the cube root of both sides, and we find our r. So the radius is equal to 6.868, and that is centimeters And that's how we find the radius. We just work our formula